Okay, so it's top of the hour. Thank you everybody for joining the QB Power Hour. Happy New Year. This is the first Power Hour of 2015. We're officially about to get started. Thank you everybody for joining. This webinar is created by myself, Hector Garcia, and Michelle Long. Michelle Long cannot be with us today. She's at the QBO Cert Prep Tour in Houston today, actually. She's a known author. She's been doing QuickBooks consulting for a very long time. Join Michelle's LinkedIn group. It's got over 100,000 members. There's tons of questions, tons of answers, and tons of support. So I really recommend to join Michelle's group. Michelle's also a speaker, a national trainer. She's speaking with Intuit right now in a QuickBooks Online certification prep tour. And myself, my name is Hector Garcia. I work and live in Miami, Florida. I teach QuickBooks in my own classroom. There's my website. We also provide CPE for certain questions, certain webinars and training programs that we do with CPE. I have a Master's in Finance and Taxation, and I'm a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, and I've been doing QuickBooks training for a while, and this is kind of why I'm doing this webinar. The agenda for today is to tell you a little bit about the QB Power Hour for the people that are joining us for the first time. Tell you a little bit about the CPE process. We're going to cover 3 topics. We're going to talk about QuickBooks Enterprise Advanced Reporting. Reporting is a common theme that we do at year end. Then we're also going to cover a new feature called QuickBooks Online Management Reports. You're really going to like those. They were just released a couple weeks ago in QuickBooks Online. They're a really killer way to show reports to your clients. And we're going to talk about doing reconciliation discrepancy research on QuickBooks Desktop. These are when we receive our clients' QuickBooks files and we have to clean up reconciliation issues. Power Hour is 1 hour long, QuickBooks topics only. Pretty much we try to do 50% desktop, 50% online. At certain moments we do more desktop than online, and vice versa. Most specifically when Michelle's not on, it seems a lot more desktop heavy because I tend to do the desktop topics. We almost always have a special guest or a third-party sponsor to help us keep the webinar alive, and also help us help you understand, what third-party programs are out there doing in the QuickBooks world. If you want to give us feedback topics, go to qbpowerhour.com or go to the SurveyMonkey link to give us some feedback as well. CPE process works like this. As long as you log in on top of the hour and you log out no later than 50 minutes later, and you answer the CPE password that we're going to put on the screen, and you attend this live, we get a list of everybody that answered the question correctly and that was here for at least an hour or at least 50 minutes for CPE time. And within 2 to 3 weeks, we will email you a email certificate of the hour that you were here. First, let me make a couple of announcements. Intuit Academy, check out our website. January, it's jam-packed with webinars and different free training venues out there. So go to Intuit Academy. One of the most important ones that I would strongly recommend you to attend, if you're not QuickBooks Online certified as of today, if you're not QuickBooks Online certified and you're near Atlanta, Tampa, Long Island, New York, Washington, D.C., San Diego, or Philadelphia, go to that website or go to Intuit Academy and sign up. There's free certification prep class. 50 to 60% of the attendees are walking out with a certification right there and then, okay? So strongly recommend you to check it out and join us, okay? Michelle Long is in Houston now. I personally will be in the one in Atlanta and the one in Tampa. I'm not sure exactly who's going to be in the other ones, but typically very good speakers. I know the topic end up being there. All right, so I'm going to jump over to Joseph Lasee, which is going to be our guest. Let me put here the screen here on. Joseph Lasee is from Intuit. He's a product manager, and he's product manager for QuickBooks Enterprise Advanced Reporting. This is a new tool, a relatively new tool. It came out maybe a couple months ago, but it's been sort of in beta, and it's just hitting prime time. And Intuit and Joseph Lasee were nice enough to come on the Power Hour and show us a live demonstration. So I'm extremely excited to show you that. I'm going to switch over and make Joseph the presenter. Joseph, are you there?
Yes, I am.
So while I make you presenter, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about advanced reporting?
Sure. As Hector mentioned, my name is Joseph Lasee. I've been at Intuit for over 8 years now, mostly working in QuickBooks and in the small business space. And I most recently have been working on the QuickBooks Advanced Reporting. And as Hector mentioned, it's a tool that works with QuickBooks Enterprise. Some of you may be aware of some of the changes that we're making in the enterprise business. So we are transitioning more to a subscription model. We've always had the full service plan as a way of having a subscription to QuickBooks Enterprise, and we're now introducing tiers of subscriptions. I mention that because advanced reporting is included with any active subscription to QuickBooks Enterprise. So it is unique to QuickBooks Enterprise right now, and it's available for any small business that has an active subscription. And it's a very, very powerful tool. As Hector mentioned, we've been going through the beta process, and reporting has consistently been the #1 thing that we've heard from small businesses and accountants as an area where we can get better. It's extremely frustrating that you can put in a tremendous amount of data into QuickBooks, especially in Enterprise, where we give you more flexibility to really customize, your QuickBooks and your small business accounting. So you can put in all this information, but then when it's time to take it out, which is really why you entered the data in the first place, there's a lot of limitations. So you may find that there's specific fields that you put inside of QuickBooks on an invoice or any other transaction, and then when it's time to do your reporting, it's just very difficult for you to pull that information out, sort it, group it, filter it the way that you want to. So reporting has always been a big need, and we're really excited to start to address it right now, but it's just the beginning of our journey, and I'm excited to share it with you guys here today, gather some feedback, and let you know also that we've got a great team decked against it, and we will be continually improving this offering over time. We've already had, I think, 9 releases just in the last year as we went from beta to the initial launch, and then even a couple of releases since the launch of QuickBooks 2015 in late September. So I'll give you just kind of a brief overview of QuickBooks Advanced Reporting, how it works, and then I'll also go through a couple of examples of some reports that you can build, some stuff that's unique that you can't get out of QuickBooks to really show you why this is different and more powerful than what QuickBooks has. And then, Hector, I'd encourage you to jump in and interrupt me if there's any questions, from the crowd or anything that needs clarification as I go along. Okay?
Yeah, sure. And I'll make a quick comment here just to kind of frame this from a QuickBooks Desktop user from many, many years. QuickBooks itself has a lot of powerful reporting tools. Most of you are experienced QuickBooks users here in the webinar, and you kind of know, there's a lot of great things that QuickBooks Enterprise can do, or even regular QuickBooks Pro can do on the reporting side. However, it's limited, right, to certain logic, to how the database is put together. So what Intuit has done is they developed, this is probably, and I'll make that bold statement, this is probably one of the most innovative single new feature launches that Intuit has brought in the last couple of years. When Joseph goes in demonstration, and any of you that have some reporting experience, custom reporting experience, you're going to realize the power of this. So I just wanted to frame that for QuickBooks Desktop users. This is a brand new, strong, really strong reporting tool that is built into QuickBooks Enterprise. It's not an extra cost. It's built into Enterprise. Go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, no, that's great feedback. And then also, I want to stress the importance of, most of the people who are on the phone here today. So because, advanced reporting is something that can be really highly technical and requires some advanced skills, I think that, reaching you as the audience and getting you familiar with advanced reporting is really key to the success of advanced reporting. It's still, a very complex thing to build a specific report that meets, a very unique business need. As you guys know, every one of your clients are different. They use QuickBooks in, kind of unique ways that maybe QuickBooks wasn't intended to be used. And so then pulling out that information and making sense of it and building a very unique report for somebody, requires a lot of knowledge. And so, I'm excited to just kind of reach out and do whatever I can to get this into the hands of all the trusted consultants out there that, represent QuickBooks and help serve small businesses. I think you guys are going to play a critical role in making this a useful tool, as I don't think a lot, all of our small businesses are going to be able to pick this up and use it on their own. I think it's a big opportunity for you to provide some value-added services to your clients and help them build the report that meets their specific need. So right now I'm just looking at, sample company file in QuickBooks Enterprise version 15. And the way that you would access advanced reporting is through the reports menu. There's now a new option there for advanced reporting. And when you click on that, it will launch the advanced reporting tool, which looks like this. Before I get into it, though, I just want to explain a little bit of the architecture. I don't want to get too technical, but it does actually take all of the data that's in the QuickBooks database. It's just a very few pieces of information that we haven't pulled out, but it is the best source of QuickBooks Desktop data available to date. And so it includes all kinds of, pesky pieces of information that you couldn't get before, things like custom fields, other one, other two fields, a lot of system data like the last date that an invoice was modified or the date it was created. So you can run some very powerful reports off of it. So it's a very exhaustive set of QuickBooks data, and it will actually make a copy of that data, right? So it pulls all of the data outside of the QuickBooks database, and then it stores it in 140-some tables. And those tables are stored right next to the QuickBooks company file, wherever it's located. So if you do have a server environment like many enterprise customers do, there will be a new folder created right next to where the company file is so that others may access it. It encrypts all that data, so it's very safe, and it will also make it build a thin data model on top of it that really connects all of the data, and it's called an associative data model. So it takes a lot of the technical work of you building any scripts or anything that actually ties tables together. So for example, if you wanted to run a report on invoices, but then you wanted to filter it to only show invoices that have products sold on them that came from a certain vendor, you're combining vendor data, item data, invoice data. Those are very disparate sets of data that are very difficult to put onto one report. All this data is interconnected in a very beautiful web. So you've got all of your data available, connected, and it does take a little while if you've got a slower computer and a huge data set to do that data extraction. But the reason why we chose to do that is we know that performance in QuickBooks Enterprise is a very hot topic. We want to make sure that QuickBooks Enterprise continues to work very swiftly for all the users. If you've got up to 30 users in there at the time, we don't want to degrade the performance for any of them. And so if we were running reports directly off the QuickBooks database, it could slow down the performance for other people trying to get in there and enter invoices or run reports. And so this will actually be very snappy. It has no impact on the performance of QuickBooks Enterprise for any other user because it is using essentially a copy of your data set that's been optimized for reporting. So that's kind of the architecture, how it works, and then it opens up what you'll see here in my system tray here is that there is another application for QuickBooks Enterprise Advanced Reporting. And when you first open it, you're kind of left with a little bit of the screen here that we're working on. We're trying to build a better, first-time use experience, something that's a little bit more, kind of guiding to help you realize how to use this tool. And, I want to frame it up less as a reporting tool and really more as a business intelligence or an insights tool. So I think, the first itch that you want to scratch by using advanced reporting is, just give you that report that I can almost create in QuickBooks, but not quite. And so there will be a lot of tabular reports that you'll create, just kind of rows and columns of data. But over time, you'll realize that there's a tremendous amount of power in here in how you could build things like visualizations or, use complex filtering and really start to dive into your data and pull up some insights that you were previously unable to get at.
Joseph,
So,
real quick,
yeah.
Joseph, real quick. There was a question about how did you open the tool exactly? Because you already had it up and running. So can you show us from the QuickBooks screen what is it that you press? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just close it quickly, and then if I go to Advanced Reporting here in the menu, it'll open up Advanced Reporting. So the first time that it launches, every time that it launches, it's going to ask you if you want to update your data, right? So because it is a copy of your data, it's going to ask you, did you enter a bunch of stuff? You want to refresh your data. I'm just going to skip it for now because it could take maybe a minute, a couple minutes. If it's a huge data set and an older machine, it could take up to 5, 10, 15 minutes to actually update that data. It's something that we've been working very hard to get the performance better, but that's how you access it. So you first launch into Advanced Reporting. There's basically kind of two options for you, and we can do a better job of steering you in that direction. But you can start from scratch, which is what we're kind of looking at here. Is you can build a report, from nothing, or you can use our templated reports. And so we've given you a variety of reports that are essentially the same report that you have inside of QuickBooks, but it really helps you to hit the ground running and not have to build every single thing. So I will show you what an AR aging dashboard would look like. Because this data set is off into the future, it looks a little bit sparse here. Add some things here to try to make this pop for you so you can see what's going on. So this is really, as you can see, more of a dashboard than just a simple report. And this is actually combining, 4 reports. We've got up here, you would have your overdue invoices based on our intervals. It's a pie chart. And then you would see your top 5 customers, and then it's combining essentially the AR aging summary and the AR aging detail all in one report. And then all of these things are beholden to the same set of filters. So if I just select, these 3 customers, everything's going to update. The summary is only going to show me those 3 customers, and the detail is going to show me just the invoices for those 3 customers as well. So the general composition of a report here is much more of a dashboard. Everything is a discrete object. You can edit anything on this screen. If I wanted to change the report title to just say, accounts receivable, I could do that very quickly, and I could probably spell a little better as well. But everything can be changed. There's a tremendous amount of options and customizability that you've got with advanced reporting. So
the first thing, Joseph, the first thing you're kind of showing us here is that it's not like the standard QuickBooks report, which is data in a single page. This is a blank canvas, and within this canvas you can have sort of mini reports, all showing multiple pieces of information. And each of these mini reports or lists interact with each other. So if you click on one side, it can update 2 or 3 reports live, the filters that you're using from one side and back and forth, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Okay, and then some people are asking other questions about Enterprise, Pro, Premier, Accountant. Let me just clarify this. This is available only in a regular paid subscription of QuickBooks Enterprise. It's not on Desktop, a Pro, or not in Premier, not in Accountant. And Joseph, we're probably not thinking about making these things available into Pro, Premier, or Accountant anytime soon, correct? This is going to be just an Enterprise tool, correct?
That's right. But it would be an Enterprise Accountant as well, right? So all the Enterprise versions, any active subscription.
Okay. And not available in QuickBooks Online either, just clarify. Not available in QuickBooks Online, just Enterprise.
That's right.
Thank you.
It's currently not available in QuickBooks Online either. It is a desktop application. There's all kinds of places where we can take it. We're really excited about the potential of this tool. I think it's got a lot of applications within the whole kind of QuickBooks ecosystem. But for right now, yeah, it is specific to QuickBooks Enterprise subscription offerings. So now what I'm showing you is really, creating a report from scratch, but using what we're calling the library. And so because everything that's on the screen here is a discrete object, we've tried to create some very common objects that you might want to use to start to build that report. So if none of these options in the list are close to what you're looking for, you may be able to start with, some of these objects, start from scratch, kind of blank canvas, and then just tweak them a little bit. And so I'm going to show you that process a little bit and build a little bit of a sales dashboard here. So I've added a couple of charts, and these are my sales over the last 12 months. These are my top 10 items that I've sold over the last 12 months. These text and utilities are very useful. The current selections are going to show you what some of the filters are that you've applied. You'll see that start to change as I add things. I can add a date ribbon across the top to really start to filter and select whatever day period I want. Obviously, every report should have a title, and then I'm even going to add a table for all my sales transactions down here. And then these list boxes really work as filters. So I can add one for all my customers and jobs. I can add one for class, because I know that this company uses that. And then I'll add one for sales transaction type. If I did have sales reps, though, that would be a great one as well, that I've worked with a lot of customers, who will use this for sales reporting based on their sales reps, do things like commissions. So that's another powerful one that you can use, but just this company file doesn't have anything related to that. So you can see I pretty quickly built out, a sales dashboard, and I can start to filter it and say, all right, show me just new construction jobs. And so everything kind of updated to just show new construction. I can switch over to remodel jobs, and you can see that change as well. I can start to choose, just specific items that I want, and I can see things start to update a little bit there as well. So that's how you can really kind of start to filter and play around with your data and have it be much more interactive, and get some, get to some insights that you weren't previously able to get to. Now I want to show you a little bit more of the power, and some of this can be a little bit scary, and it is a very powerful tool, and it's got a lot of functionality in it. When we first started testing out this tool, we tried to dumb it down on purpose because we thought, hey, let's make it really, really simple. Let's see if we can make advanced reporting really simple. And what we found was we were very unsuccessful in creating the specific report that any enterprise customer wanted. Everybody needed something, that was a little bit advanced. And so if we were going to start with a very dumbed down version, we weren't going to be solving anybody's needs. So, people need things like, basic calculations, or, they're going to want to do things like, show me certain periods of time and then compare those to that same period of time last year. And so things got pretty complex pretty quickly in order to meet people's specific needs. And so we just opened the floodgates and exposed all the functionality of this tool. And you'll see that here as I start to edit this particular table. So you can right-click on any one of these objects and open up this properties menu. And then you'll be able to see just a tremendous amount of customization, whether it's, customizing what type of report it is. So this is a pivot table, or you can customize the data that's really driving the report, the sorting, presentation, the number, whether it's money, date, all that kind of stuff, even font, layout, caption, a whole bunch of things can be edited here. Essentially anything that you want, to add to this report, you can certainly add to it. The first thing that I wanted to show you is really just the data that's available, because I think that's a main benefit of advanced reporting, that it has a tremendous amount of data for you to pull from. And so, dimensions are typically whatever you're kind of sorting and grouping your data by. And so if you think about, you wanted to do a sales by item report, you would want to group all of your sales by that item, right? So the item name is going to be the dimension. In this case, the transaction type is the dimension. And then expressions are all the other columns that go across the top, and they're the things that will be sorted and grouped, based on that dimension. So I'm going to add another expression here, and you'll see this expression builder pop up. And what this is doing is see if I can make it smaller. For some reason, it's pretty big. This is going to give me, a way to actually choose the data that I want. If I just look at all tables of data, you'll see that there's just quite a bit of data that we've got available for you. And so that's a challenge in and of itself, is finding the right piece of information that you're looking for. You can certainly, what I will typically do is use this table drop-down and I'll go to the table of data that I want. So these are the 140-some tables that are all interconnected. A lot of the information that I would be looking for is in the transaction table. So if it shows up on a transaction form, it's going to be in the transaction table. And, I can now see any of the information that's on a transaction. And so one of the things that Hector and I were talking about previously was things like the service date, right? So that's a field that's on an invoice that is very difficult for you to report on or impossible to report on inside of QuickBooks. You can see that that's there. Custom fields will also show up really nicely as well. They won't be custom field 1, custom field 2, custom field 3. They will be named however the user had named them. So, spouse's name, if that's a custom field that you had added on there, you'll be able to see that in the terminology that the QuickBooks users actually put in for the custom field. So this is where you're able to actually add an expression, and you can also do some pretty complex stuff here. So you can take, the transaction amount with sign, and then you can add in calculations. So I'm going to multiply it times 0.15, and I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to call this commission amount, and I'm going to hit OK. And now I've got a new field here for a commission amount, and it's essentially 15% of this particular amount here. If I want to get a little bit more, go ahead.
Joseph, we had a couple of questions here, and we're actually kind of out of time for demoing.
Okay.
But it is very, very, very obvious that the tool is so incredibly powerful that 20 minutes of you showing is not even nearly enough to cover everything that you want to cover. But there was a couple of comments about, how much is it, when is it available, how is it available, who can have access to it, who cannot have access to it. So what I'm doing now is I'm assigning some of the questions to you. You can see it on the webinar, and maybe you can answer some of those privately. Do you want to say one last thing before I switch over?
Sure. I would just encourage you all to reach out to me. I believe Hector has some information in the PowerPoint presentation, a link to a website. I'd love to hear all of your feedback. I'm taking a tremendous amount of feedback, and it really helps us as a team focus. And we're on a 6-week release cycle, so we're improving this application incredibly fast. So please provide as much feedback as you can, and I'd be happy to answer those questions and any others. I look forward to really making this a powerful tool for you and for your clients. And thank you so much.
So Joseph, the feedback, is it via your email?
Yeah, you can put it to my email, or this, you can put Joseph_lasee@intuit.com. You can email me directly. There's also on that link a feedback form, and our whole development team gets an email every time a piece of feedback gets logged, and we try to do a very good job of responding to that feedback.
Perfect. So check out qbar.intuitlabs.com. That's where all the videos are going to be posted into. There's going to be a lot of advanced reporting videos coming on in the next couple of weeks or so. Joseph and I will be working on recording some on our own. I want to spend some time with him privately, kind of go over some of the concepts of reporting, and I would love to have that in a group of videos, and we'd love to have you back in another Power Hour. Thank you, Joseph. Stay on if you want to answer some of the questions that are in the chat. If not, I'll email them to you. Maybe you can address them separately. All right, so we're done with our QuickBooks Enterprise. Thank you so much, Joseph, and Intuit. The keyword for this webinar is my own personal New Year's resolution. which is spend more time with the family. So write that down. Spend more time with the family is my New Year's resolution, and that will be asked later on towards the end of the webinar. Make sure you put the correct answer in order to be able to answer the CPE question correctly. Thank you for all the questions. There was a lot more heavy technical questions on the chat that I was expecting. I try to answer some, through Michelle's webinar chat tool here. I try to answer some, but I'm going to let Joseph answer some of them. There's a lot of feedback of people asking for more information about this, more training. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely we need to work on that. All right. So the tools, the topics I'm going to cover now, it's going to be QuickBooks Online, new management reports. It's a very cool, new, exciting tool. Nowhere as near as powerful as QuickBooks Advanced Reporting, but it is a nice financial report bundling tool. And then I'm going to talk about QuickBooks Desktop. Hopefully I'll have time to talk about QuickBooks Desktop reconciliation discrepancies, which is a very, very common topic at year end. All right, so let me jump into QuickBooks Online now. There we go. Okay, I hope everybody can see my QuickBooks Online screen. Okay, so the first step is we're going to go into the reports menu here on the left side, on the left sidebar, and then there's a new tab added here called Management Reports. This is the new tab that allows you to have access to the Management Reports. So I'm going to click on that, and then you're going to have inside Management Reports, you're going to have groups. You're going to have report groups. Okay, the default ones you get on any QuickBooks Online file is going to be the basic reports and then sort of a detailed report, but then you can make your own. So let me start by just showing you the basic company overview that's already there, ready to go. So let's say, for example, I click on company overview. I'm going to go here where it says action, and I'll click on view. And I kind of show you what that does. So what QuickBooks Online does is it takes several reports, puts a cover sheet, and a table of contents, and create a single PDF file that you can email to your clients monthly, weekly, yearly, whatever you want. They're not automated because it's assumed that you're sort of revising and reviewing and looking at these reports before you actually sending it to them. Somebody's asking a question if it's only available in QuickBooks Online Accountant. Well, it's available in all QuickBooks Online. This is available in every version of QuickBooks Online, client side or accountant side. I'm not sure if it's available in Simple Start, so I'll make the disclaimer that I'm pretty sure it's only Essentials and Plus. All right, so kind of give you an idea what that looks like. So the first page of management reports here is the cover page. You can change the name of that cover. It puts the name of the company. It puts the period. Down here, it tells you when it was prepared. You can also sort of put who prepared it. And you can have that management use disclaimer, which is very, 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 very useful. Then you have a table of contents here, or what's involved in this management report. In this case is page 3 and page 4, profit and loss and balance sheet. And then the next one is the profit and loss and the balance sheet, exactly what you would expect. Okay, but what I want to focus in is showing you how to customize the management report. So in a nutshell, the best way to describe it is a single tool within QuickBooks Online that can grab multiple reports and bundle them in a single report for a specific period. Let's take a look at this one that's on the sample file that's called sales performance. I'm going to click on the arrow down here, and I'm going to click on edit to just kind of show you what is put together here, right? So on this is a custom build management report that is a bundle, right? The template name is called sales performance, and we're going to give it a name. We'll call it sales performance reports. Now, I don't have to type the name of the company. The system is smart enough that it just grabs it from your settings, and also the period end date is there. But I'm going to put here Hector Garcia CPA, and then I'm going to put here non-independent compilation, and then I'm going to put down here management use only, not a review or audit. Whatever I want to put there. I'm not saying that's specifically what you want to put there, but I'm just kind of showing you, what is the specific information that I want to save in there. Then the table of contents, you can just change what it's going to be called. There's really nothing else to change here, just basically the title. And then it kind of shows you, you can set up a letter. You can actually say, management letter, and you can put any disclaimer you want. You can say, please do not have anyone outside management look at these reports. Whatever it is that I want to put. Obviously, I can put my compilation, my audit, my review letters in here as well. So you can actually do whatever you want in a nutshell. Okay, and then as I go down, it just basically gives me a list of the reports that I want to add. So right now, this management report group only has profit and loss, AR aging, and sales by customer summary. So I'm going to add one more to this. And then basically I can choose pretty much all the available QuickBooks reports, or most of the available QuickBooks reports are available here. So if I want to put, let me see, I want to put sales by product summary. And I'll put here last year. We'll put here last year. Where are you last year? Perfect. And then I'm going to hit save and close. And we'll save there. And there's my report group. So now I'm going to show you, I have to give it a different name because this is one of the templates. So let me just go down all the way down here. Save and close. And we'll call this one, this is already done here. So let me just get out of it to show you exactly what that's going to look like. I'm going to go save. I'll call it sales performance 2. There you go. And then I can get out of it, close. And then I'm going to run the entire report. So after I edit it and I changed it, I'm going to run it. So I'm going to click on view, and you're going to see exactly what that looks like. So once I click on view, it's going to create my cover sheet with all the new information that I changed. I changed the name of it. I changed who prepared it. I added some sort of disclaimers down here. Let's see. I can put the table of contents of all the reports that are going to be here. There's a management letter, whatever I want to put here. Again, you copy and paste your own information here. We have some CPAs here in this webinar. So CPAs are going to grab your own AI CPA sort of pre-written stuff and paste it in here. For non-CPAs, you can write whatever you want in there. Then you have your profit and loss, an AR aging detail report, a customer sales by customer summary. There must be no data for this period. That's why it's empty. And then a sales by product or service. And now I'll click on print, and I can print it as a PDF. I can save it, and then I can email it to my client. So that, in a nutshell, is the management report. So let me just go to see if anybody has any questions about can you pull memorized reports into the management report. So let's take a look at that. So when I create a custom report, so I'm going to create a custom report. So I'm going to go to reports here. I'm going to pull like a regular profit and loss, and then I'm going to create a custom report of, let me go to last year. So the question I'm about to answer is people are asking me, can I add a custom report into my report group? Okay, and so I'm gonna create a custom report here that contains, for example, just fuel expense. So this is a report, a detailed report that contains just fuel expense. So when I go to Save Customizations, and I'm gonna put here fuel expense detail, and I'll save it. The question was, if I do that, can I add it to my management reports? So the answer I'm going to give you right now is I don't know. So I'm about to find out by just doing it live. Let me edit the sales performance report. I'm going to go to edit here. Okay, and then I'm going to go down to reports. I'm going to go to add new report. And what we're just about to find out is whether or not a custom report will show in here. So I don't know the answer. We're about to find out in a second. So let me see if I type fuel. Okay, so the answer right now is no. Custom reports will not show up in a management report bundle. So I hadn't tested it before. this just actually came out a couple weeks ago. So only regular QuickBooks reports show in here. Now that could be a great suggestion. I actually think it's a great suggestion to add that. So make sure that you add your suggestion here, okay? Go ahead and add your suggestion in the feedback form that if you think it would be very relevant to have custom reports in there, okay? All right, so that's it for management reports. Let me see if I have somebody else, another question that would be here, create a monthly report updated automatically. Okay, so somebody's asking if we can automate this and have the system automatically create this once a month. No, it can be automated. So you can create the group, and you would have to at this point generate it, email it, or send it. But if you can't program it as of now, you cannot program it for it to be automatically be sent once a month. Okay. It's asking, can you do comparatives? The answer is yes, you can do comparatives. So we'll show you how comparatives work here. So I'm going to go back to this report group. I'm going to go down to, let me go down to here to reports, and I'll go to I'll go edit the, so what I'm doing now is I'm just going to edit the profit and loss that's there now. So I'm going to go to report group. I'm going to select my profit and loss. I'm going to hit the little pencil here for edit. And then it's down here it says, do you want to add a comparative? So yes, I'll say compare with the previous period. Okay. And that's it. That's how you would add the comparative. So it is possible, whoops. So it is possible to add the comparatives in there. It is absolutely possible. So the answer is yes for that question. Let me see if we have any, and Michelle's not here to help me, so I kind of have to go back and forth with the questions of the report. Okay, so I don't have any other questions that I think I can report right now that I can answer. Somebody asked if this is only available in QuickBooks Online, and the answer is yes. So we showed you another tool for QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Enterprise earlier. That was kind of the first demo. So the answer is no, it is absolutely not available in QuickBooks Desktop. This management report is only for QuickBooks Online. Now, it doesn't have to be QuickBooks Online Accountant. It could be just any version of QuickBooks Online. Somebody's asking if you can add a logo. The answer is yes. Let me just show you that real quick. So when you edit the report group, there's a place for you to put the logo. You can put the logo right there in that blank space under the first page, under the cover page. So there's a place for you to put the logo in there. And you just basically grab the logo of the company. So this is not the logo of the accounting firm. This is the logo of the company, right? So the logo that's already built into the company file, into the QuickBooks Online client file. Okay, we're going to switch it over, and now I'm going to cover QuickBooks Desktop reconciliation discrepancies. So what I'm about to show you on QuickBooks Desktop reconciliation discrepancies is for any version of QuickBooks Desktop. It could be Pro, it could be Premier, it could be Accountant, it could be Online. It actually doesn't only apply to QuickBooks Enterprise. However, I am going to do a demo in Enterprise because that's the one that I have installed here on this computer. So give me a second while I launch QuickBooks Enterprise to show you that. Let me look at the other questions. Can you reorganize the order of the reports? The answer is yes. So with management reports, you can change the order of the reports. And then I have 2 or 3 people that are saying that without custom reports, it's very difficult to make this a very useful tool. I actually agree. I believe that custom reports should be part of it. So yes, help me by sending some feedback. All right, next topic I'm going to cover is how to handle reconciliation discrepancies, a very common year-end topic. Reconciliation discrepancies work the following. First, let me frame this by going to do a reconcile and just kind of show you the starting point, okay? So this is let's assume for a second that this is the actual real ending balance of the bank statement, $47,488.42. If you're following along, write this number down. That way, when you kind of see what I'm about to do, you're going to see how that number moves around. So write that number down if you can. And I'm going to show you there are 3 ways you can screw up a reconciliation. There's 3 ways you can mess up that beginning balance. One way is by deleting a transaction that's already been reconciled. So I'm going to do the example of deleting a transaction that's already been reconciled. So I'm going to pull up a check here. I'll just pull up this check. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this $54 check, and I'm just going to delete it. Okay, now I'm not saying this is something you should do. I'm saying this is something clients do. And then we have to clean them up, right? Sometimes we clean them up monthly. Sometimes we clean them up annually. I just kind of want to show you how this works. I'm going to delete a check of a transaction that's been reconciled. Now, your client or whoever's doing this gets an error message warning you saying, maybe you shouldn't do this, but I'm going to hit OK anyway because that's how pretty much how it works. Clients ignore these things. Okay, so that's one way you can mess up a reconciliation, which is deleting a reconciled transaction. The other way is by changing the amount of a reconciled transaction. So I'm going to change the amount of this check from $120. I'm going to change it to $12, right? For whatever reason, somebody reconciled the bank and then went out there and then changed the amounts, right? This can also happen, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this. Okay, so I'm going to change the amount of the check that's already been cleared. I'm going to hit save and close. Okay, I will hit. It gives you a warning saying you shouldn't do this, but you know how it is. Clients don't care about warnings; they just hit yes anyway. And the other way you can mess up reconciliation is by, and this happens usually much more sort of a mistake by miskeying, is by grabbing a check that's already been reconciled and going into the register and manually unclearing it. So that means going out of your way to go in the register, clicking in that little box where the check mark is, ignoring this check message, right? Completely basically you're unreconciling it, you're unclearing it, and then saving it, also ignoring the fact that it tells you it's not a good idea, and hit yes. But if you guys done stuff like like cleaning up QuickBooks files after your clients, you know, or we don't know exactly how it happened, but we know it did happen, and they must have ignored all these error messages. So what happens is after the client does this, there's no way for you to know that there's an error, right? But when you go reconcile, so I'm going to go reconcile my next month, my beginning balance is no longer the same beginning balance that it's supposed to be. If I click on this, what if my beginning balance doesn't match, it takes you to the help menu that kind of covers a couple of these things. But the key thing here is to click down here where it says locate discrepancies. The other way to go into locate discrepancies is to go to reports, banking, and we go to reconciliation discrepancy. And I'm going to walk you through fixing every one of these. Okay, so we're going to go through the method of how to fix it. So I'm going to go reconciliation discrepancy report. I'm going to hit OK, and then it's going to list the exact 3 transactions that are causing that balance to be different. Okay, if you see this $285 with 23 cents. If you wrote down the number that we had earlier, whatever number we had here, 48,000 something. If I add the 285.23 to that 47,000, I'm going to get to the correct amount. So this report is explaining to me specifically how and which transactions messed up my reconciliations, right? So to fix these, it's actually kind of a simple concept, right? So the first one is the amount that was changed, right? So one of the nice things is from this report, I can double click on this transaction so we can actually see the reconciled amount was $120 and the difference is $108. So this $120 is exactly what I'm going to fix. So I'm going to double click on 120 and I'm going to change it now to 120, right? So by doing that, I'm basically reversing what I did originally. That's how you would fix that particular transaction. So I'm going to hit save and close and hit yes. Okay? And the minute I fix it, it comes out of my reconciliation discrepancy report. Okay? The second one says transaction was manually uncleared, right? It just says uncleared. So when I click on it, I love this. When I double click on this transaction, it takes me straight into the register, and all I have to do at this point is manually clear it. So I'm just basically reversing the exact same thing that I had done. So I'm undoing what the client did, or maybe what one of your staff members did, or maybe you did it for who cares who did it. This is how to fix it. Okay? And then we're going to hit record and hit yes. So that fixes that one, and it goes away from the report. Okay? The last one is the trickiest one. Okay? This is the trickiest one, which is a deleted transaction. So if I double click on this, it doesn't work. The reason why is because in QuickBooks, once you delete a transaction, it only stays in your audit trail, but it no longer stays it's no longer in a way that I can undo it or bring it back from the dead. So I can't resuscitate a deleted transaction. So what I would have to do is I would have to recreate this transaction. Now, assuming this transaction has a lot of multiple items or multiple fields or memo, and recreating it requires you to go deeper, what you want to use is a different reporting combination. You want to go to Report, you want to go to Accounting and Taxes, and then you want to go to Voided and Deleted Transactions Detail. Okay? So this report, and I'm just going to, let me just show these two reports next to each other here. I'm going to show them here tiled vertically. So the detail report shows me everything that was deleted, and I can actually see what accounts were used. So I can see which bank account it was used from, which is the split. If there's multiple splits, I'm going to be able to see them in there, the check numbers. So what the voided deleted transactions detail report gives you is a little bit more information, more detailed information when it comes time to recreating it. So to recreate this transaction is simple. I just write a new check. So I'm going to go to Control W here to write a new check. Then what's my vendor's name is Postmaster, so I'm going to put here Postmaster. The check number is 5284. The original date in this one was 11/22/2016, 2019 actually, and the amount is 54, postage and delivery, and then I hit Save and Close. So by doing that, I'm fixing it. But now keep in mind something that's very interesting. When I fixed my first two, they went away. But when I fixed this last one that was deleted, it didn't go away. The reason for that is because there's no way for QuickBooks to know that the new transaction is somehow related to the old transaction. So this will not update by itself like this. This will never go away from the reconciliation discrepancy report. Now, to fix my balance, I'm going to go to Banking, Reconcile. I'm going to roll back the date as if I'm re-reconciling the old amount. So I have to roll back the date as if I'm re-reconciling the old amount. I actually didn't write down the amount. Anybody in the chat care to send it to me? Anybody that wrote it down, just care to send it to me so I can re-put it in there? I'm going to put 0 for now. Wait for somebody in the chat to send me the amount. Okay, there it is. Thank you. I got it. Okay. 47488.9 8.42. So 42. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for writing it down. Right? That I'm very appreciative that you guys are actually listening. So the key thing is I'm going to re-put the old reconciled amount. I'm going to go back to the date of the last time that it was reconciled correctly. So I'm basically re-reconciling it. I'm going to hit continue, and you're going to see something curious. Okay, the transaction that whoops, my thing switched. So the transaction that that was deleted, that was recreated, brought back from the dead per se, it's going to show back in there because it hasn't been cleared yet. So I have to actually check it, and then I hit. You're going to go down and see that the difference is 0, and now I can hit reconcile now, and then when I hit reconcile now I'm back in business. Okay, I'm going to go back into the reconciliation discrepancy report and show you one very peculiar, specific thing about this that I don't like, that I dislike. One of the tricky things about this is if you delete a transaction, if you delete it and fix it to the system, this report actually doesn't know that you fixed it, and this reconciliation discrepancy report always shows in here. This is why I specifically recommend that instead of deleting stuff, get used to voiding stuff, because I want to show you voiding is a lot different than deleting, especially on this sort of situation. So I'm gonna go to a check again, and instead of deleting it, I want to show you what the different impact that this would have had if instead of deleting it, it would have been voided. Because if it had been voided, this would be a lot easier to fix. So let's grab this transaction that's in here, a payroll service fee or whatever, and instead of deleting it, I'm going to void it. Now, it's still going to give me the reconciliation discrepancy problem. It is going to happen. So I'm going to hit Save and Close. It gives me the warning. It's not a good idea. Okay, whatever. I'm going to hit Yes. And I'll hit just void the check here. So what happens is when I try to reconcile, I'm going to have the same issue as before. I'm not going to have my correct beginning balance. However, when I go into my reconciliation discrepancy report, just to show you, this one doesn't say deleted, it doesn't say voided, because in QuickBooks, a voided transaction is just a regular transaction changed to 0 with a memo that says void. So there's no, the void flag is not something that you could actually filter in a report really well. But basically, it says amount. But what's nice about this one is because it wasn't deleted, because it was voided, I can just double click on it and I'll delete here the void memo. So you don't have to, you can just do it without it, but, and then I just change the amount to 123. I'll hit save and close, hit yes. Oops, it was 123 and 8 cents. So 123 and 8 cents, hit save and close, and now it goes away from my report. So that is the specifically best advantage of using a void instead of delete in this particular situation. All right, so that's it for the reconciliation discrepancy report. I'm going to pull up the keyword question here now, the keyword option. So you guys can put that answer in there. And I'm going to, while you guys put the keyword in the screen, let me pull it up. It should be launched now. There it is. Okay, so please answer the CPE question. While you do that, I'm going to look in the questions to see if there's something I can answer before we finish up. Okay, so yeah, you didn't lose sound. I was just quiet for a second while I was reading the questions. Anyway, so I have a couple questions here. Some of it is there a way for us to delete that $54 so it goes away from that report permanently? And the answer is, I don't know if there's a way, but as far as I know, it cannot be. That's why I specifically mentioned that I thought it was kind of an annoying, something I didn't like too much about it. Somebody else is asking, what if it's not something that was deleted or changed from previous month? Let's say it was something that was 2, 3, 4 years ago. Do I have to undo all my reconciliations and redo them all? The answer is no. If you actually re-reconcile the last reconcile period, regardless of the date of the specific transaction that was causing the discrepancy, it's going to work either way. So you're not forced. You're absolutely not. I'm about to close the polling question, by the way, so put your answer in. So you're absolutely not forced to only do it a month at a time. You can actually re-reconcile as if it's the entire period, and that would be it. Okay. So thank you very much for being part of the Power Hour. I will try to go through the chat questions to see if I can answer any more. Please go to qbpowerhour.com, www.qbpowerhour.com, and suggest, there's a link there for suggest a topic. Let me actually go into it real quick just to make sure that we're clear about what is in there. So in the QB Power Hour website, there is a link up here called suggest a topic. And if you come in here and you suggest something, I'm going to start tallying up what people are suggesting, and we're going to try to bring in the most popular topics in here. Year end is certainly one of the most common topics right now in January because of tax season. So you will probably expect a lot more year end type of things on the next webinar. The next webinar, January 22nd, it's also going to be year end themed, but we're not 100% sure who's the sponsor yet, or we're not 100% sure if we're going to have a third party speaker or who it's going to be. We probably are, because we always do. But it's going to be year-end type topics, and I apologize that the very last, this webinar, we didn't publish the topics beforehand. We will do it for the next one, I promise you. So without further ado, thank you very much for joining the Power Hour. Happy New Year, and I hope to see you January 22nd. Thank you.